Welcome to day 9 of the Great Western Adventure, the monologue, where we discuss the highs and the lows and the fun and the not so fun adventures of the day. And boy, day 9 was a roller coaster. And I hate to say it, it started real high and ended up real low. The morning started out fine out of the KO in Fort Bridger, actually in Lyman, Wyoming, a little bit down the road. We went directly to Fort Bridger, the actual state historical site. And this is a massive fort. I mean, we're talking acres and acres, similar to Fort Laramie in size and importance. As in, this was one of the longer lasting forts and most heavily garrisoned fort also. The buildings are a mixture of rebuilds and original structures. We then toured the trading post of Fort Bridger, and then we checked out the officers' quarters. Finally, was the stockade, a definite recreation, and the museum and the gift shop. My partner had fun in the gift shop. She also liked the museum too. In fact, she enjoyed almost all of it too. It was only about 10:30 by the time we got done with Fort Bridger after about 2 hours there. But I knew from here on out we were going into the wild, untamed wilderness with no facilities, no services, no nothing. So I suggested to my partner that we should eat lunch here, which we did. That wasn't bad. I have to say it was unremarkable and unrememberable. From Fort Bridger, we left civilization behind and we continued across the plains on the Oregon Trail. And then the Oregon Trail threw us a huge surprise because it'd been going west, but then all of a sudden it turned north and went up this ridge. And I thought, okay, it's a ridge. You know, we're going to be maybe 200 feet above the surrounding river valleys. Wow, I was wrong. It was a general ascent at first on a paved road, and then it went to gravel. But all of a sudden, we were like 1,000, 2,000 feet above the Bear River Valley on the western edge of Wyoming. And it was, the ridge was like this. And then where my fingertips are, the road ran right across the top. Oh, and it wasn't exactly uneven. It was very narrow. I mean, the ridge top was at times about, you know, no more than about 200 to 300 feet across, and its narrowest maybe 75 feet. There were all sorts of natural gas installations here, which were kind of unusual. And so cows and the weather just cooperated. Blue skies, clear skies, could see 20, 30, 40 miles in any direction. Yeah, it was unbelievable and completely unexpected from us traveling the Oregon Trail. Never thought that this would ever happen. And that went on for about 20, 30 miles. And of course, you know, the road is narrow. Now we could go really fast because it was a narrow gravel road. I mean, the road was smooth. It wasn't potholes or anything like that. It was just kind of twisty, a lot of blind. And honestly, the views were so fantastic. We just wanted to take our time and just kind of soak it all in. We had a little bit of trouble finding where the descent was. We actually went about 2 miles further than we needed to, but that did take us past where the Oregon Trail dropped off the ridge. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It was, you know, why they picked this spot to drop off the ridge. I mean, I know the ridge kind of was curving more toward the northeast, and the Oregon Trail is a western bound trail, but it was like 30, 40-degree straight down drop to the valley floor, 1,500 feet lower. Amazing that people actually travel this trail, were able to traverse such a steep descent. And I'm sure not all of it made it down safely. The road itself was quite interesting and challenging to me as a driver. I had it in second gear most of the way and sometimes first gear. Because I mean, it was not a road that you want to have your brakes fail on you. Finally, we got down to the Bear River Valley, turned on the highway, traveled about 6 miles to Say's Junction. And then my partner mentioned that how she wanted a picture of Utah. And I was like, oh man, we were just there. We really were. If we had turned left instead of right, the state line was about a quarter mile down the road. You know, I really do care for my partners. So I turned the car around and we went back the 9 miles and we took pictures of the state of Utah welcomes you sign. I have to say, it was my partner and I really thinks it was one of the best pictures she took on the trip. I like it too. Anyways, we backtracked up through to Say's Junction and headed north. And then at, I think of the town of Border, we crossed into Idaho for the first time. And of course, we had to stop for pictures of the Idaho welcomes you sign. We continued on, and about 20, 30 miles, we pulled off because there was a counting site and hot springs. And I really wanted to get to these hot springs because with these hot springs were supposedly rocks with salt. And that was something that's unusual that we did not have in our collection as of yet. We did make it down there, and I started walking down to the where I could see the hot springs because of the steam rising from the vents along the river. But I got about 200 feet or so and realized that they were quite a bit further than I had realized. One, I didn't want to walk down there because it would take too much time, and I didn't want to drive down there because the road was terrible. It was a Jeep trail. and the Subaru is not a Jeep. So failure on that. Went back to the highway and we drove the distance to Montpelier. I hope I'm saying that right. Where we stopped to get gas and we used the bathroom and hopefully was to try to order some food because it was late afternoon and we were both getting hungry, especially my partner. Oh, service was horrible. I mean, I went out to gas the car up. I waited 10 minutes. After I gassed the car up, went back in. They still hadn't gotten my wife's order together. I was like, and on top of that, I had just found out that a major storm was heading in our direction with heavy rain and strong winds of 30 to 50 miles an hour. That's 50 to 70 kilometers an hour for those of you who are metric, which meant that we had to change plans. Finally, my partner got her food. I think it was, she was like hungry, but it was like, come on, we gotta go. The storm is coming. And they're saying it's actually almost here already. And this is where things went downhill. One, I don't like hurting my partner, but it was just like, if we don't get going quickly here, we're going to get caught by this storm. Our original plan was to go to this beautiful backcountry campgrounds run by the Bureau of Land Management. But with the storm coming, I didn't want to risk it. And honestly, in hindsight, now that I'm home, I think that probably would have been better choice if, because I think we would have been more protected than where we ended up. Now, it also meant we had to travel about twice the distance. We got most of the way down US 30, almost to Pocatello, when the weather took a turn for the worse. And by the time we were on the interstate, the storm broke upon us. And I remember it was at the town of Basalt. The wind was going 30 miles an hour, and the rain was just coming down in sheets. Man, I would have liked to stop at Basalt. Now, we did get to see it because it was right along the interstate, so we had no problem seeing it, but there was no way we could stop. We passed Pocatello. By this time, it was dark. It was 6:30 or so, especially with the rain and the wind. And we headed about 15 miles up to Fort Hall Indian Reservation and Casino, where which was going to be our campground for the night. And I'll tell you more about it in the nighttime video